There was once a man who didn't believe in Jesus or the meaning of Christmas and was skeptical about God. He and his family lived in a farm community. His wife, however, did believe, and she raised her children to also have faith in God and Jesus, despite his disparaging comments. One snowy Christmas Eve, his wife was taking the kids to the Christmas Eve service at church. She pleaded with him to come, but he firmly refused. "Why would God lower himself and become a human like us? It's such a ridiculous story," he said. So she and the children left for church while he stayed home. After they left, the winds grew stronger and the snow turned into a blizzard. As he looked out the window, all he saw was a blinding snowstorm. He sat down to relax before the fire for the evening. Then he heard a loud thump. Something had hit the window. Then another thump. He looked outside but couldn't see, so he ventured outside to have a better look. In the field near his house, he saw a flock of wild geese. Apparently, they had been flying south for the winter, but got caught in the snowstorm and couldn't go on. They were lost and stranded on his farm with no food or shelter. They just fluttered their wings and flew around in circles blindly and aimlessly. 2 of them had flown into his window, it seemed. The man felt sorry for the geese and wanted to help them. He thought to himself, the barn would be a great place for them to stay. It's warm and safe. Surely they could spend the night and wait out the storm there. So he walked over to the barn and opened the doors wide for them. He watched and waited, hoping they would notice the open doors and go inside. But the geese just fluttered around aimlessly and didn't notice the barn or realize what it could mean for them. The man tried to get their attention, but that just seemed to scare them and they moved farther away. "I know, maybe some food," he thought. He went to the house and came back with some bread, broke it up, and made a bread trail leading to the barn. They still didn't catch on. Now he was getting frustrated. He went over and tried to shoo them, run after them, and chase them toward the barn. They only got scared and scattered in every direction except toward the barn. Nothing he did could get them into the barn, where there was warmth, safety, and shelter. Nothing he did could make them enter this one place where they could survive. Feeling totally frustrated, he exclaimed, "Why don't they follow me? What's wrong with them? They can't see this is the only place where they can survive the storm." He thought for a moment and realized that they just won't follow a human. "If only I were a goose, then I could save them," he said out loud. Then he had an idea. He went to the barn, got one of his own geese, and carried it in his arms as he circled around behind the flock of wild geese. Then he released it. His goose flew through the flock and straight into the barn, and one by one the other geese followed it to safety. He stood silently for a moment as the words he had spoken a few minutes earlier replayed in his mind. "If only I were a goose, then I could save them." Then he thought about what he had said to his wife earlier. Why would God want to be like us? That's ridiculous. Suddenly, it all made sense. That is what God had done. We were like the geese, blind, lost, and perishing. God had his Son become like us, so he could show us the way and save us. That was the meaning of Christmas, he realized. As the winds and blinding snow died down, his soul became quiet and pondered this wonderful thought. Suddenly he understood what Christmas was all about, why Christ had come. Years of doubt and disbelief vanished like the passing storm. He fell to his knees in the snow and prayed his first prayer. Thank you, God, for coming in human form to get me out of the storm.
I love you, Jesus.